Meeting to order. All members are present, and Ms. Kaufman is going to tell us about our flag salute.
We have two young ladies tonight.
Girls, you can come up.
Yep, come on up, ladies. Aston Youngblood, she's in 5th grade, Miss Ballard's class. Cody and Ashley Youngblood are her parents. These ladies are from Greenwood Elementary. Aston likes to play soccer, basketball, doing arts and crafts, and hunting with her dad. Then we have Jade Valdez, 5th grade, Miss Ballard's class. Sean and Priscilla Valdez are her parents. Reading, playing with her dog Blue, having fun with friends, going on adventures with her family, and eating Nani's cookies are her. I added a little line.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Get back for you, and wait for that, go back.
I get the picture and send it to you.
Okay.
Right there.
Thank you very much.
Y'all are.
All right, V1 Tigers Roar Heritage Jim Wilson account donation.
Okay, we have a group here tonight from Heritage Elementary, and of course they have the Rock Park house system there. And so one of the house members, the Isabindi, and tonight we have Hume Parker, she's an Isabindi house leader, and Jamie Jackson, staff house member. They're both our teachers from Heritage here tonight. We have Aubrey Cochran, Isabindi senator, and Presley Parker, a 4th grade Isabindi representative here tonight. And something that this group did for our Jim Wilson lunch fund is each year the houses from the Heritage House System choose a community service project to teach students the value of giving back. This year, the House of Isabindi chose to sponsor Bindi Bedlam. Students were able to purchase paper footballs for either OU or OSU. Whichever team won, the principals had to dress up in that team's gear. And I think there was a little plot because I believe Mrs. Vance and Ms. Stark are both OU fans. So everyone purchased OSU and they had to wear OSU stuff. So OSU was the winner and they won the game. So all proceeds from this little project went to the Jim Wilson Lunch Fund, and they raised $376 on this year. So, thank you very much. This is just some of the great things they're doing for Heritage Elementary and Tahlequah Public Schools. It's that giving back thing, and we love that. And it was a great thing out there. They had a little copier issue, and Miss Parker, she came downtown and we copied stuff and we got them all done. So we all worked together as a team, and they did a great thing for the students at Tahlequah Public Schools. So you guys are all get up there at the front and we'll take your picture.
Thank you guys. Thank you guys for being here.
And you guys are free to go.
Alright, B2, Oklahoma Society for Technology and Education Teacher of the Year.
So we had a conference last week, and Ms. Harris, thanks to Ms. Harris, she nominated me for the Teacher of the Year for the Society of Technology in Oklahoma, in education, and I actually got it. It just shows, you know, for Harris to nominate me, I am blessed and thankful, and I feel very honored and respected by her as a coworker. And I just feel very supported at Tahlequah, sorry. But at Tahlequah to be able to teach and to continue doing. Thank you for Ms. Cloud. She basically says yes to every crazy idea. I'm with in technology and just the other principals over the years, and I'm just thankful.
Tell them, Sarah, about your thing we're gonna do in the spring.
Okay, so April 15th,
Tax Day.
yes, we are having a concert through a program called Reach and Teach. And basically, we are throwing a 80s rock band concert for a buyout for our school as a fundraiser for the CTE programs. But it teaches our students in the CTE programs how to set up, run, research, do all the marketing, all the ticket sales, all the merchandising, how to set up the stage, how to set up equipment and run through the whole programs and everything, from start to finish, load, unload, just all the behind scenes. The students will be in charge of this, and it's a great opportunity for them. I know in Tahlequah, we have a very huge musical industry with lots of musicians, but they don't have people to help them set up stage, do lighting, do production. And we have a lot of interest in production companies out of Tulsa and other areas for people that need help doing this. And so this will provide it. We also will be hosting a career fair prior to the concert that will have different aspects of the industry and let our students go through how to do those things. I've already had offers from some of the production companies in Tulsa that if we even have some students that are interested, that are seniors, that would like to be able to get a job and be trained on the job to do this staging and sound and lighting, they would be willing to work with them. So it's a field that I'm excited.
Take a picture.
I'm just proud of you because
Now you're trying to get out of this.
no matter how much work it's gonna be, Sarah always makes it happen for kids.
It's awesome.
Thank you, congratulations. I just go pushing it back, so you guys don't have to fight for it.
Thank you so much.
And Miss Siska's not here tonight, so we're gonna do the three at the next meeting. So do we have any public to be heard? Item D, discussion and vote to approve or not approve the minutes from the previous meeting. Got a motion?
I'll make a motion to approve.
Any discussion? Ms. Walker? Dr. Eversole?
I'm gonna abstain, I wasn't here.
Ms. Kaufman?
Aye.
Ms. Crawford? And aye. Item E, Deputy Treasurer to report, discussion, and vote to approve or not approve monthly financials.
Good evening.
Welcome back.
Yes, it's a lot easier to be here in person than on the phone. So the bank balance at the end of October 31st was $7,510,062.20. Receipts for the month of October for the general fund were $3,241,693.70. Building fund was $34,357.70. Sinking fund was $11,167.57. Bank balance for general fund at the end of October, $5,500,242,055. Building fund, $2,402,742.27. Bond fund, $500. Sinking fund, $132,152.32. Activity fund at the end of October was $1,154,250.77. Go over to our utilities. At the end of October, electric, the difference between last October's electric bills and this October, electric was up $6,722. Gas was down $479, and water was up $1,302. I also added the CDs for this month. So we have the 4 CDs, we have the 2 at Armstrong, and then the 2 at TTCU. So right now, in all 4 of those CDs combined, we have $263,557.95. You can see that some of them will mature next year. The last one to mature was the Armstrong Bank one. So right now, we have all really high interest rates on everything again, which is super nice, so we should be bringing in some good dividends in the next few months.
How do we choose the amount of money that we're going to set aside and,
So that's
because
a
I
really
had
good
never
question.
noticed that before.
This was done a long time ago. So when I came in as the activity account specialist, it was my job to look at the CDs that we had and then go out and find the best interest rates at the time. So I literally don't know where the original money came from. But right now what we do with it is that we just make sure that when they do renew, that whatever institution they're at, we're gonna get the best rate that's provided in the town. If not, because we've moved these, so we've moved into wherever we get the best rate. And sometimes where they're at, if we call and say, well, so-and-so is gonna give us this rate, they'll match the rate we're being. So that's really what we do now, is we just make sure that we're getting the most money that we can, locally.
Well, Lori's question,
It's just
we're not
savings.
adding money to, we're
No,
just
no
rolling
money.
these over when they mature
Yes.
and then the interest is.
Yeah, as of right now, no money has been added to these since I've been here, so 10 years. We just took what we had and we just keep investing it and getting better interest rates.
We can find out the history though.
And we're just keeping it just as that little
Little
nest
nest egg,
egg, just a nest egg in case.
Yeah.
Very good.
And
idea.
all of that money is activity account money.
Oh,
That's where that money has been set aside from, is activity accounts.
interesting.
So. Anything else?
Alright, do I have a motion to approve?
I'll second.
Any further discussion, questions? Ms. Walker? Dr. Eversole?
Aye.
Ms. Kaufman?
Aye.
Ms. Crawford? Aye. Item F, presentation of annual FY 22-23 audit by Jenkins and Kemper.
This is the original. Late, but I was amazed that
We're gonna move you to the end if you weren't here.
I did get here right on time. But usually I show up and I have to stand way back there in the hallway. So I missed the crowd. Nobody wanted to stay around for the audit, I guess. I will go over the 3 main reports and any findings. And then if you want, I can go back and we can talk over any of the financial statements or notes of the financial statements, any questions you may have. I'm gonna just kind of cut to the chase, go to the reports, and then afterwards, if I need to backtrack, we'll do that. So starting on page 4 is the independent auditor's report. The main thing of this report is I'm supposed to issue an opinion based on all of our audit testing. I guess the game here is you provide me with financial statements that you've prepared, and I issue an opinion on those based on our audit testing to make sure that they're free of material misstatement. And they were. On page 4, you see, used to the opinions were at the very back, so you had to read the whole report, and on the second or third page at the bottom, they'd probably tell you what it was, but now they shuffled it around and all that other legal mumbo jumbo's on the following page, but at the very top, we start with the opinion paragraphs. And the main thing that you need to know is you received a qualified opinion on the regulatory basis of accounting, which is the modified cash basis that you prepare your financial statements with. You could, if you had included a general fixed asset account group, you may have been elevated to an unqualified opinion. That's the highest that you can get, but we audited about 75 schools, and I only think 2 or 3 of them, and they're like Midvale and Broken Arrow schools, the large schools have all the fixed assets included in their financials, so it gets pretty complicated at that point. So most schools in the state of Oklahoma just have the regulatory based finances with the fixed assets excluded. So based on that style of report, you receive the best opinion that you can get. Now let's skip over, there's 2 reports in the back. One is on internal controls related to the financial statements, and the other is on internal controls related to major federal programs. And with the major federal programs, we rotate those around, so we're not testing the same programs each time. And let's skip over to page 41. The reports are the 4 or 5 pages previous to that, but this is the summary of auditors results page. And it just goes on to, it starts out saying that you had a qualified opinion on the regulatory basis of accounting on number 1. Number 2, no significant deficiencies related to the audit of the financial statements are reported in the schedule of financing question costs. 3, no instances of non-compliance material to the financial statements were reported. 4, no significant deficiencies related to the major federal programs were reported. 5, an unqualified opinion report was issued on the major federal program, major federal award programs. 6, the audit disclosed no audit findings and question costs which are required to be reported under OMB uniform guidance. That's our audit report on the federal programs. And then the major federal programs that we tested this year, the ones that we deemed to be major this year, was the Education Stabilization Fund and the Child Nutrition Programs and the Title I programs. So all of those programs, we, in order to get to your threshold, we had to test those programs. And the dollar threshold used to determine between Type A and Type B programs was $750,000. And because you didn't have the fixed asset account group included, you weren't considered to be a low risk auditee. So it just puts you in high risk area. So we're used to it. Very bottom, regarding the major federal programs, there were no findings. On the next page, there were 2 findings. And so we'll go over those. First one is titled Federal Program Monitoring. And we just found at year end, prior to closeout, or at the time of closeout, that there were several federal programs that were not reporting the correct amount of the federal program expenditures. The state's real sticklers on making sure that the revenue reconciles to the expenditures and that everything's accounted for. And so I think there was just some coding issues where, and this can easily happen at year end when you're reclassifying codes, because you got this 26-digit code, and certain project codes have to go with certain program codes. Then you got to look at excess costs and administrative costs, and there's just so many different things that you have to look at where you may change the code on one thing and it affects something on a code on something else. So if you're not real careful, you can accidentally miscode some of your federal programs and they're no longer in there as they should at the end of the year. I do a reconciliation for the schools that I do consulting for where we balance it and I have to do it on an Excel spreadsheet. I use one of those reports from the software and then I just add a few columns to make it all work, so. And that's something that I do, I mean, every time I submit another report to the state, I have to do that to make sure that it's still the way that I had expected it to be. That's about it. So our recommendation on this is that the district implement procedures to reconcile federal programs to expenditures to revenues at year end and investigate any discrepancies. We also recommend the district resubmit its corrected OCAS data to ensure the proper amount of federal expenditures are reported to the Oklahoma State Department of Education. And then number 2 was related to the ROAR, our ROAR grant expenditures. It appeared a payment of $52,496 for services was claimed for reimbursement twice. It also appeared that $4,563 of payroll was claimed under Project 777 and later reclassified and claimed under a different federal program. There also appeared to be $8,799 in payroll reported under Project 777 that was not claimed for reimbursement. The net effect of these issues was a total of $48,259.92 in expenditures that were reimbursed erroneously. So we recommend that the district implement policies to prevent payroll reclassification of federal salaries once reimbursed by a federal program. We also recommend the district either repay the erroneously reimbursed or follow the guidance of the grant administrator to resolve the discrepancy. So those were the 2 findings. They both are related to the same thing. And you know, the federal program used to, it was kind of the wild, wild west about 10 years ago where they just depended on the state auditor or the school auditor to make sure that you have everything coded properly. And then there was a lot of grants that we just said, do we really need to code flood control or impact aid? But now it's like, no, everything that has a federal project code has to have revenue matching expenditures. And if it doesn't match, it's got to be because of indirect cost that's allowable, or if it's just been claimed, but it wasn't received until the following year. But there's got to be some kind of reconciliation, so I really recommend to have some kind of a spreadsheet that you can prepare to justify your numbers. But other than that, I mean, everything else, there was just a couple little blips on the federal programs, but everything else looked great.
On page 41, would you explain number 8 to me, the dollar threshold used to determine between type A and type B programs was $750,000. Threshold, based on what, I mean.
Well, it's at the federal level, they determine it. We don't determine it by doing our testing, but let's see, we go back over to the
You mean the grant has to be worth that? I'm trying to.
No. Okay, you had about $11.2 million of federal programs.
Okay.
And so we put the schools or the federal programs into 3 different categories. Your type A would be your high risk, anything over 750,000.
Okay.
And then below 750,000, those would be the ones that are secondary, so they're not as high risk. So based on the $750,000 is just the materiality amount, where if it's over that, it's considered a type A program. So we have to rotate those type A programs where if they haven't been tested in 2 or 3 years, they're gonna end up as a high risk type A. So they'll have to be tested. And then once you reach a certain percentage of those being tested, then you go down to your type B programs, below 750,000. And if there was any of those that have had problems, they may have been a type A in the past, like for instance, these stabilization funds. They're over a period of 3 years and they may have been $10 million 1 year and now your carryover is down to $500,000. Well, if there was any findings on that, we may still have to test them, even though they're a type B program, because there were, we had a finding on it in the previous year. So that makes it a higher risk if there were findings on that program in prior years.
So more scrutiny is applied to begin with, I mean, those are the.
On the
ones
type
you look
A,
at.
because they are larger programs, we have no choice but to rotate those and make sure that, I think it's like 50% of those are tested each year. And then 50% of those programs. And then if we have tested the ones that are considered higher risk, and we still need to come up with some additional spending to reach our level of testing, then we can pick any type B programs that we choose.
Thank you, I just didn't understand what.
I work a lot out of the office now, so to the best of my recollection, that's how it's done, because I'm not, there's been so many changes to the federal programs. Michael does a lot of that nowadays, and I just stay at the office and answer the phone. It's a glorified secretary. Okay, and so there is a form, I think you may have received an email on it that you have the board sign, that it was presented at a school board meeting. So if you have any other questions, I'll try to address those, but that's all that I have to say.
I would just explain, like on the audit findings, we do like a corrective action plan, we've already been working through that. It wasn't mismanagement of funds or anything illegal, it was a coding issue, something we went back and changed. Historically, we maybe didn't claim money as quickly as we claim it now. And we have someone that is monthly doing it just like they're supposed to. And in the past, we got used to going back and changing things after the fact. Well, we can't do that now if we've already claimed the money. So that's where the problem happened. And so we already have a plan in place that will not happen again in the future.
The issue that happened a couple of years ago was kind of catching up on that. or-
Well, no, this was something that we did last year. It's, we get a new grant, so we have someone doing a particular job and we are claiming them from some federal program. We get a new grant, we change their job up a bit, we add responsibilities, so some of their salary starts to come from a new grant. Went back and recoded some of that, which we shouldn't have. We should have started, had a hard date that we started claiming them. And then when we did that, money would have already been claimed. And then we had too much money claimed at that time because of the recoding. And it's just that the right hand and the left hand weren't talking as well as they should. And now they're gonna be shaking, having a little handshake. So that doesn't happen again.
When I started in this business back in 1990, we had, the schools would type up their claims for reimbursement. So you can imagine how problematic that was. There was a lot of overlapping of claims and we'd find like a Title II would have kind of things claimed on the Title I. And just about every time we issued an audit, we'd recommend them reimburse some money that got spent on 2 different programs. So it happened a lot more frequently in the past. Thank goodness with the single sign-on and the state kind of
GMS.
going over all those claims, it doesn't happen near as often now. But just like with the procedures you're talking about, at the end of the year, when you're reclassing things, it can happen, when crazy things happen at that time.
We don't have this, we just have this as presentation. Do we vote?
This is, I think just acknowledge that we did it.
Okay, that we
And then
heard the presentation. Okay. Alright. I think we're done.
Okay. Thank you.
Let me take your picture.
Scared me for a minute.
Sorry.
Item G1,
Always.
school site goals and testing report. Up first is Ms. Mashburn. You were listed first, so we don't care
I
who
think
goes
we're
first.
together.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Come together.
Do you want your picture taken?
Yeah, someone please take our picture. I'm
No,
gonna go stand
I like
beside him with his shirt on since he doesn't like it. Or doesn't like my shirt, guys.
We're gonna present this in kind of three parts, yes. We're going to talk about our goals for each of our sites. We'll talk about all of our elementary. Then Ms. Mashburn will talk about middle school, high school, and Central Academy. Then we'll come back and we'll talk about test scores for last school year. And then we'll come back and do the third part will be kind of some things, that we have in place to hopefully improve our school year from last year. So this will be a great school year. So we'll start off, remember our district goals. Ms. Jones presented them last week with some different departments that we always start out with. That Telequa Public Schools will increase academic achievement for all students, will create a positive culture for all stakeholders, and will remain a safe and secure environment for all. And each of our sites stuck to that. And all of their goals last year were similar to this, and they had very lofty goals. And we wanted to just continue on with those goals and just make them better and try to really make these three district goals become reality in every site. So at Sequoia, they started off with about the positive culture. And they say that 90% of students, parents, and teachers will express positive feedback on our culture throughout a needs assessment. And that's our survey that they try to send to all parents. So just some ways we're going to highlight here that they're going to try to do that with their family and students is to focus on building relationship with students and building classroom families, greeting students and families at the door and in drop-off areas, sending positive messages to families, care teams, family nights, and Facebook posts. And if you know from our Facebook and just anything, and Misty Blunt showed you the picture, the video today, they do greet students, even though the students run into the door that's closed. So we may not get a positive feedback on that one, but it was a good time. So, and with staff, Misty's done a great thing with her staff there at Sequoia. They have staff luncheons, secret pal things, communication between admin and staff, sends out weekly newsletters, admin support for the teachers, holiday activities, and then the snack cart that gets to come around to all of the classrooms. So, yeah, that's the number one. And they write a whole report that do all of this, and I'm just gonna highlight a few things so we could be here all night talking about how each of these sites are going to meet these goals. So the next one they'd like to work on is about the facilitating procedures for a safe and secure environment. Again, 90% of students, parents, and staff will express positive feedback about safety on their needs assessment. All staff members wear a badge, all doors remain locked, and they practice the safety drills. And one thing we've learned about safety drills, I'll try to give you a little tidbit about every site, is we always wanted to do safety drills when it's convenient for everyone. And we've learned over the past couple of weeks that we've had those intruder drills, lockdown things, when it's not convenient. So we've been trying to mix those up and do them during cafeteria time or at nap time at Sequoia or at the end of the day at Greenwood, when they're in the bus line. It's like, okay, how are we making sure that we can do this when it's not everybody's where they're supposed to be at 9 o'clock in the morning every morning? So all of our sites are doing a great job with their safety drills. And of course, our exterior doors will be checked regularly by admin, SRO that we're so thankful we have at every site, our staff members, and then the SRO and admin will be present throughout the building during the day. Of course, visitors check in, ALICE training, and then the Safe School Committee and SRO will conduct volunteer background checks for all patrons volunteering to serve at our school and on field trips. And that's very important at Sequoia because everyone wants to go on the field trips. And we like that. And then the last one there is about the academic achievement. All students will show at least 80% growth in all areas on the ASQ, and that is the Ages and Stages questionnaire, and that's a developmental screening tool that they use to determine the developmental level of each student there at Sequoia. and 80% of the students will meet expectations on fourth quarter report card skills. And they're working on that on flex groups to work on skills, whole group instruction, one-on-one instruction, aftercare tutoring, their second step instruction, and small groups to work on social and emotional skills. And it's fun, Ms. Jones always talks about Sequoia Elementary, that was where she was principal at. It's a great place Sundays, I call them the ankle biters sometimes, but you never know what you're going to get. But one thing you're gonna get always when you walk into Sequoia is hardworking teachers, staff members, because it is a full-time job times 10. So if you're ever feeling have a little extra energy, choose on over to Sequoia Elementary. Okay, our next school that we would like to talk about is Heritage Elementary. And the way they're going to create a positive culture for all stakeholders is increase the number of parent survey responses by 50%. The number they got last year, they want to increase that. And of course, at Heritage, they have the house system, they have weekly assemblies that they're inviting people to, and they started that back in September, and then they're every Friday. If you wanna have a good time, just going out there at Friday, it's loud, they're excited about what's going on. They have community connections, and each house system will choose and create a way to give back to the community. We got to see that tonight. Their family nights are organized quarterly. They have all kinds of things going on, staff communication. They do a weekly staff newsletter. And one thing that Amanda does at Heritage with her staff newsletter, she puts little tidbits in there, and they don't have to have a staff meeting if they read the newsletter. So she quizzes them a little bit about their newsletter to see if they're doing it, and that way they don't have to come together and use their time a lot to just have kind of like a calendar of events staff meeting. So that's a neat thing that they do there. Of course, they have group text, and sometimes I'm on them and I try to get off there as quickly as possible. Calendar invitation, notes home, the school messenger phone blast, and then of course, positive communication challenge they do between Ms. Stark and Amanda's office. They have a chart and they have it from 1 to 100, and they mark every time that they do a positive comment home. And if you know Amanda and Kristen, they're both very competitive, so they try to get after it on Sundays. And then of course they have their house spirit assemblies 2 times per year. The way at Heritage that they'd like to maintain a safe and secure environment is the staff will take safety precautions seriously and follow them with fidelity. Staff and students will implement school-wide expectations, and they call it the ROAR 34, and they decrease the category of physical aggression referrals, both major and minor, by 15%. And doing that, they follow the Swiss discipline thing where they report all of that. And with that, to achieve that goal, they'll do the implementation of ROAR 34 life skills. The first 9 are called the Power 9. They schedule these life skills to be taught. Videos are available for each skill. Of course, they have ALICE training. They have the little stop the prop stickers that go on the door that they've shared with all the district to remind that all doors must remain closed and locked at all times. And then it gets their Swiss behavior where they document all of their any referrals for their district, and then of course PBIS. And then the way they're going to do academic achievement, and this can get really long, they'll put up there, they'll raise the OSTP test scores. In ELA, there's their 3rd, 4th, and 5th is like where they'd like to get to all their passing rate. 70% of students in kindergarten through 2nd grade will master on their literacy first. And 80% of the students receiving intervention will maintain a moderate to high improvement rate as evidenced by the iStation report. And you can just see all the things that they're trying to do at Heritage to reach these goals, just a few of them. Their teachers meet in grade level PLCs twice a month to determine RTI groups and review their SMART goals. The Literacy Lab is a direct extension of the classroom and included as part of the RTI system. They really have a great relationship with working with their classroom teachers and their literacy coaches and the people that's there in their building. They use every one of them to try to get every minute of the day, get every ounce of the student that they can. And they've hired 2 full-time staff and 2 part-time retired teachers that work there in the literacy lab. and their schedules are adjusted so that students have adequate time to complete the iStation test. At Greenwood, to create a positive culture for all stakeholders, their staff is going to use communication, collaboration, and connection to build positive relationships and create a positive culture with all stakeholders. This is something that Greenwood has worked very hard on last year. As you'll see, some of their test scores this year are down a little bit than where they would like for them to be. Ms. Reed and I have had lots of conversations about that, but they worked so hard on creating that positive culture in Ms. Reed's first year and Ms. Christian to try to really work on. So this was their top one, their positive culture for all stakeholders. They implement school-wide committee structure. They have an instructional group, a culture group, a safe schools group. They have family engagements nights. They're doing one tonight. They had it scheduled for Thursday night, but it was ladies' night downtown, so we had to move it to tonight. So she had permission to miss the board meeting tonight because we do have our priorities in line. So ladies' night is very, very important. So, and they're doing their camp learning s'more, and Greenwood, when they have activities, the new parking lot is put to a test every time. They fill it up, and it really looks great. The first time they had their 5th grade music program over there, it wasn't just like random parking. They were still parked everywhere, but they had a nice parking lot to park in, and it looked very, very, very nice. So you can see they had volunteer luncheons, their care team, weekly meetings, and they just have all kinds of supports that they're trying to get in place to reach every student and every family so they can have a positive culture. And then of course, to maintain a safe and secure environment, again, all of them have this, that they want to follow all the precautions with fidelity to maintain that safe and secure environment. We've all had the ALICE training that once again our SROs do a great job talking to the kids and promoting how to be safe from that. One that I like is teachers carry an emergency fanny pack with an air horn to all outside activities, and all visitors, including family, will check in through the front door and will be given an off sticker, and they've really revamped their front door over there. Brad's team from the maintenance has just helped them. They've put in 2 windows, one-way windows, to look there, and so to really help with the security there at Greenwood. And we also did that at Sequoia. They got new doors and a new window there to help with safety there that I forgot to mention, and there it is right down there at the bottom about the glass windows. And of course they have the PBIS, the safe school committees, and they've also do the Tiger Paws ticket to promote and celebrate good behavior with their students. And then the way they're going to increase their academic achievement is the staff in grades K through 5 will create grade level specific SMART goals, and staff will identify essential standards and then vertically align those standards. So of course they have SMART goals planning sheets to review academic data and define current reality of our students. They're looking for data trends from the past year's performance, something they're looking into very good. Teachers will meet with grade levels during the PLC twice a month. They have attendance incentives for students, staff walkthroughs and observation days, and they're really using that now that they're trying to implement the great expectations there. So they're doing a lot of peer observations. They're going to see other schools. So Ms. Reed and her staff, they're learning lots of things about academic achievement. Looking at iStation, we'll talk about that a little bit more later, and then having mid and end of the year data meetings with individual teachers. So Greenwood is doing a fabulous job to try to meet all of their site goals and their district goals. Last but not least, Cherokee Elementary, to promote positive relationships for their staff and students and families, is on a needs assessment. All students, parents, and teachers will express positive feedback about our culture and scoring an overall average at above 4.0. And if you really want to look at a site that focuses on their relationships with their staff, students, and families, you need to look no further than Cherokee Elementary. Marissa and her staff do a great job of trying to keep their families involved, getting out to see their things. They do their famous thing is their home blitz that they do, that they're focused on building relationships with students and building classroom families. They greet students at the door, just like all of our sites do. I love you can go to every site and they have music playing and it'll get you pumped up and fired up and ready to go for the day. So that is something they all do. They send positive messages to family. One of their great things that they did this year that they're doing is the Parent Involvement Committee, and Marissa did a coffee with the principals. And we had some people come there and then you can talk, and it's kind of like, you know, if you want people to fill out surveys, they need to be in your building. You know, you don't get the Taco Bell survey unless you've been there. So you can't just put it out there and say, okay, everybody fill out a survey to tell us how our schools are doing when you've never been there. So they are definitely trying to find ways of getting the parents in their building to see what they can do to improve. And Marissa is not afraid to ask the parents to tell me what I can do better, what our staff can do better, what our building can do better to reach every family. They have a community hero and fall festival. If you were there, what was it, November 2nd you did that? I think they had more people to volunteer, and they had 300 kids or something there, and there was probably that many volunteers. Their playground was full of every hero that was in this county was there. Haircuts for students was one of the great things. I wanted to get in line because I was gonna save me $30 because my hair barber was there, and so it was just a great thing that they have going on there. And of course, they have the staff monthly luncheons, and as you can see, I could talk all night about the great things that our elementaries are doing. The way they're gonna maintain the safe environment for students, staff, and families is that thing there. Of course, they're wearing their badge, their doors remain locked. I mean, that is preach from us, from Superintendent Jones, that she wants our building safe and wants our students and families safe. And you can see they're all doing what they're doing, and they do check the doors, and we don't have to kick very many rocks out of doors anymore because they really take that to heart, that we want the kids and the staff safe. And then communication on needs and areas of improvement. And then finally, for their Marissa actually wrote 2 for the way that she's going to increase academic achievement. She wrote about the test scores, but the one I wanted to highlight was the one she did about iStation, because iStation is something that we're really gonna do. And actually, this isn't about iStation, this is about the reading sufficiency plan, sorry. Spoke out of turn, that's coming up later. She wants to reduce the percentage of students on an IPRI, which is the Individualized Program of Reading Instruction, which we used to know it as the RSA, the Reading Sufficiency Plan for the students. And the way they're going to do that is by utilizing all of their literacy coaches in their building. They work directly with classroom teachers, literacy tutors. They have coming in, it's like old school first grade over there 10 years ago, because she's got all the past retiree teachers, and we took a picture with them the other day, yes, of all the people there. They do letters training. Letters training is a great training for all that wants to get moved to this science of reading, and Marissa has done a great job with promoting that for their staff. She has Laura Cosbitz done take flight instruction. She's using our HMH reading series, explicit phonics instruction, and then we just purchased a mirror and writable for additional reading programs there. So that is our goals for our elementaries, and hope that we see some great results from that. So I'll turn it over to Ms. Mashburn for the middle school, high school, and city on the goal part. Yes.
Okay, I'm gonna start with Tahlequah Middle School and just talking about their first goal, which is the staff will promote positive relationships for all their staff, students, and family. They'll promote this in a variety of ways. A lot of these are the same from last year, like their social committee, greeting their students, calling them by name, having a competition, trying to be by name. One of the new things is that I'm gonna discuss on this one is Sparks document for all staff. And they do a shared Google document, and teachers will put 3 sparks about a kid. So in other words, they like to hunt. They do this, and then they do one personal, which might be they're from a divorced family that's in the middle of this, or a parent died. And so then on this shared doc with all of their staff, they start identifying who their kids really are and if they are not connected to somebody. So I think that's something new that they're focusing on this year, and I think that's really powerful. Tahlequah Middle School staff will maintain a safe environment for students, staff, and families. And so some of those same things that we all, at all the sites, doors being locked, monthly intruder drills, exterior door checks, with the SRO, communication, all kinds of safety drills. But our new biggie for secondary is the badge system. All staff has already been required to wear badges, and now it's getting our middle school and our high school students to wear badges each and every day for security reasons. A lot of different feedback. I know that humans aren't perfect, and definitely young kids that have never been required to wear badges in the past, this is a learning year, but I think both sites are doing a great job. They do have kids that don't bring them. They have extra ones in their homeroom classes. When I went to their Halloween party, I'm sitting here, they have to have their badge to get in. And I'm looking, I'm like, oh no, this kid's not gonna get in. Well, I'm about to cry, and Abby has my there, she goes, I'm gonna let him in, I'm just coaching him up over here. I was like, okay, cause I would be
The
too much of a
dance,
soft,
yeah,
at
the
the
dance,
dance,
yeah.
what do they call it?
Parties.
Parties, Halloween dance, so it was a nighttime dance. So, there's these requirements that they are really trying to have them do at all the levels, but getting into the games, but they're doing a good job. I think our families are doing a good job, and the principals and the teachers, everybody's bending, and that's what you have to do. So Tahlequah Middle School, on their academic goal, we'll turn to the next one, is to score 80% or greater on their spring third benchmark in ELA, math, science, and social studies. And they do 3 benchmarks through the year. Their benchmarks are a summative benchmark, so it mirrors exactly what their test will be at the end of the year. So their state test. So of course, right at your first benchmark, you've not taught all those concepts. And so, like right now, maybe their first bench in overall reading is at a 26%. Their math on their benchmark is about a 35%. But as the year goes on, then that second benchmark, they've covered other skills, they get a look and see, they're strong in this, they're not, they hit that second benchmark. On their third benchmark, they're wanting 80%. Last year, they had this same goal. They did not quite meet it, but they got to 68% on their benchmark. So this year, they're keeping that same goal of 80%, and they're just doing these types of, we're utilizing those classroom walkthroughs, those teacher observations, a lot of PLC group time. In that PLC time, they're analyzing those standards, they're looking at the new series that they have. Our science, in a little bit, you'll see it grew even more. It went over the 50th%. They've had 2 years of a new curriculum in 6th, 7th, and 8th. It's really hands-on based. They presented it to me, begged for it. It was going to be something. I had to come down here and beg her. I was like, come on, it's a little higher, but I think they really want it. And they have been phenomenal using that. So we really think it's connecting them to what they need when they go to high school, because there's labs all the time at high school, so it really puts them in lab setting. So these are some of the things that they're working on. Okay, Tahlequah High School. So Tahlequah High School will promote positive relationships with staff, students, and stakeholders, and there's a variety of ways in which they're doing that. Some of these were the same as last year. Greeting students, out in car lines, communication. They do a s'mores memo telling what's going on. Several different things, but I want to highlight that a new thing they're doing is 100% of our teaching staff will send a social media post with pictures to the building principal, so they would go to Ms. Cloud at least one time for 9 weeks to promote the positive culture in their classroom. So they'll send something great that they're doing, it gets scanned to see who can be posted, and Ms. Cloud will get that on that high school Facebook. So then it can go there, sometimes Tanya grabs those and it goes on our district one. So they wanted to buy into that. So I think there's quite a bit of success there, and we'll see at the end of the year if 100% of everybody followed with that. Tahlequah High School on the safe environment for students and staff, and that was, some of theirs are the same as everyone else's through the district, the doors being locked, the intruder drills, all the safety procedures that are in place, but it's the badges and making sure that every student has a badge. they've also been working well. They'll just say, hey, you forgot your badge, or say it's in my bag, get it on, put it on. So it's just a lot of give and take. Sometimes I'm sure some people get frustrated, but with anything new, there's like growing pains. And so, we will try to collaborate and meet, and we talk about it frequently, but we'll see what else can we do to make our students more successful, because we really do think it's important. We think we've been behind the 8 ball, and we think other districts do it, and our kids are just as good or better, in my opinion, than other students in different schools, and we can do this. So we're gonna keep doing that. Tahlequah High School's academic goal this year is the ACT score will be 18.5 or greater from their fall report. Last year, their goal was 18.3, and they exceeded their goal to 18.4. So they did meet that goal and went a little above, so they put that a little higher this year. And, just doing some of those things, putting their PLC work, they're really being structured with that, analyzing new standards, new data, everything that they can do, the walkthroughs, formative and common assessments, and they're gonna do like an intensive pullout, maybe 3 weeks before testing time, to really hone in on some skills that they're seeing that are low. All classrooms are benching. All classrooms are developing a bench. I had to clarify that with Natalie. I said, now Natalie, talk to me. Every class, social studies, she said, yes. Everybody, not just US history, and she said, yes, they have developed even if they haven't for a semester, at least some form of a pre-test and some kind of post so they can measure growth. So they are working on that. They're utilizing the Edulastic program. It's a new program. I think we've talked to you about it before. It houses data. So when it houses that data, then you can just click it and you can see where low standards are. And that's had some growing pains. And others, maybe the math department is more efficient at it, or something, English is using it. Everybody, they use a lot English. I think a lot of their SAVAS has a lot of different things that can show them where they're tracking. So really starting to focus on that, and I think this year, I think it will just be better next year, getting everybody accountable. Central Academy, they will promote positive relationships with all staff, students, stakeholders, some of the same things, social committees, all the current event, all the things that they do between admin and staff, just trying to make everything in a positive light. This year, they have some attendance incentives. Weekly, if you're there, because you can't learn if you're not there, and we know this. That's where we struggle, is attendance with our students. And you have to be there to get what you need to get done. And when they do, they get a ticket, and then on this ticket, every quarter they do a drawing, and this quarter they have a huge basket right before Christmas that's gonna have many different gift certificates to around different places where they can eat over break, so that there's gonna be a huge one. So the more times you're there, the more times your name goes into, so they're really trying to promote that. Same thing on the next goal with their environment, and the big thing is wearing the badges, keeping those doors locked. And the last thing on their achievement goal is they wanted to complete 85% or greater of their assigned courses by the end of the school year. So each of those students that go to Central Academy may be lacking in however many credits. We're trying to get them pulled up, plus to continue on. They did exceed their goal last year. Their goal, 93% of their students completed 85% or greater of their assigned courses. But she went ahead and kept it, and I asked her why. I said, why did you go ahead and just keep it at 85%? She said, new group of students this year, and a lot of the students have several credit recovery hours. So she thought, I don't want to send it so lofty that they feel like they couldn't make it. I want to set it at 95, where if they can see 85%, because her students know these goals and know what they're wanting to do. So next, we're going to go over the test scores, and I'll let Laura come back up.
And if you can see this is our Oklahoma State testing program data. We've listed the third grade ELA, we put 2023, and then right down below it is 2022, where you can see the first column and every block, I guess you would say, is the total tested, the number of our students that scored, the percentage that scored below basic, the percentage that scored basic, percentage that scored proficient, and percentage that scored advanced. And then, of course, what we look at is our percentage combined of proficient and advanced. And the state average is there at the end at 29%. So this year, Cherokee, Greenwood, and Heritage, they did a 19, 25, and 15 for an overall district total of 20%. Last year, of course, when we look at third grade from 2023 to 2022, we're not comparing apples to apples, we're comparing apples to oranges because it's a different set of kids. So our scores did go down in third grade, and we're going to talk about some reasons we think of that. We're going to give you, as Ms. Jones would like to call when we met with her about test scores, is we're going to give you some explanations and not excuses for our test scores and how we're going to build those up. So, and then we look down at our third grade math, which we have, look in that far right column, our percentage of 36, 40, and 33 at our sites, and 36 was the state, or our total, 34 was the state average. So we're really pleased with those math scores there from 2023 to 2022. And just kind of going back, I'm going to give you some apples to oranges comparison that's not on this page, but the third graders from Greenwood or Heritage, for instance, scored a 34. Well, in fourth grade, they scored a 32, so they're staying right there, and that was the same way with Greenwood and Cherokee. There wasn't a big drop or gain in those, so our students are staying there, which our grade level dropped a little bit, but when you compare moving the kids forward, they stayed pretty consistent to those scores. We're not pleased at all that we went down in these areas. One of our explanations is the new reading series that we received last year. We've had intensive training on how to do that, and just getting that in the thing. Research shows it's going to take us 3 years to get those up to where we want to anytime you start a new curriculum. So that is one thing that we're definitely looking at, is just ways to improve the reading instruction in our district. And one thing that we did purchase, that Ms. Jones let us purchase with our reading sufficiency money, is the new Amira program and Writable program, and that's what our teachers wanted. Amira is a program for kindergarten, first and second, that helps with just any of the phonics, the phonemic awareness, anything the students are listening. All of our principals, when we were at model schools in Orlando 2 years ago, they said this program is great, and so we purchased it. And so we're hoping we see the results. We received training on that this past Friday, so we're hoping that will help bring these reading scores up in years to come. So in our fourth grade, you see that in the ELA for 2023, we have 17% within the proficient advanced at Cherokee, 14 at Greenwood, 32 at Heritage, with an overall total of 21%, and our state average was 24%. Always the state average is going to be anywhere in reading from 21 to 29%. The fourth grade last year had 5% at Cherokee, 24% at Greenwood, and 41% at Heritage. Our fourth grade math, we did excellent in the fourth grade math category this year. 35, 36, and 61% passed the math score with a proficient or an advanced proceeding, and we're tickled pink of the math scores this year, and you can see from last year where just that grade level raised there. Going to fifth grade, the next one, we'll look at our ELA scores in fifth grade. Cherokee had 17% pass, Greenwood 19, Heritage 46, with an overall total of 27%, and the state average was 28. So we're close to getting our fifth graders to where they're supposed to be. And then the fifth grade, and you can see where we were last year out in the fifth grade ELA 2022. Our fifth grade math for 2023, 22, 17, and 50% for a total of 30% district-wide. The state average was 27%. So again, fifth grade math, knocking it out of the ballpark. And of course, we would love to be in the 40s, 50s, 60s, so we always have room for growing there. You can see where we were in fifth grade math, so it's always jumbled. 50 at Cherokee, 30 last year at Greenwood, and 31 at Heritage, for an overall total of 37%. And those kids are now in sixth grade, so I think we're going to see great things from that group of kids going there. And we'll jump on over, and then fifth grade science, there's 26, 49, and 49 for an overall district total of 38%, and the state average was a 35%. So as we jump through to, the elementary improvement, jump ahead a couple of slides, since we're gonna talk about this next one. Some elementary improvement strategies is we've worked very hard, our instructional and literacy coaches being in our classroom. We have the instructional coaches of Jessica Morrison, that's our district technology coach, and Cassie Stevens, our math coach. They went to some trainings this summer to be better coaches. They have been helping all of our new teachers, any teachers that are struggling. They work with the principals to find teachers that they need to be in there to demonstrate lessons, to, if they're having problems doing anything, those ladies are there to help, and they work all day long, every day, to be in classrooms. Also with our literacy coaches, we have a literacy coach at every site, and they work very hard. We have Laura Searcy working with Olive to improve drastically in our writing, because we think that is a very weakness for our scores. And one of the things that I have from her is that she gives me, when she works with all of our third, fourth, and fifth grade EL teachers, she sends me a report, a detailed report of everything they talked about, what they're going to work on, what standards they're working on, and how they're going to improve test scores. So this is just a tidbit, she'll say, the lesson we focused on the gap between learning to read and reading to learn, and how reading skills are integrated with writing skills. We discussed the need to build up the overall reading proficiency of students before they can make the shift to become more content area reading and a literacy approach. So she is a great tool to put in our tool belt to help get these test scores to where they need to be. We also, Pam Henley, we worked with her. Today they finished up, we've sent 16 teachers of our kindergarten and our literacy coaches to be trained in the developmental stages of reading, the science of reading, and every one of them came back. They usually send me an email or principals an email of how wonderful that program is. We have also, as talking about the test scores, something that we've all been researching about how to do this better. And when we do see below basic up there, it does not mean that our students do not know how to read. It means that some of those students struggle in the areas of comprehension. So they can read, they just have trouble answering the questions and comprehension. So that's what we're trying to do, the writing skills, the comprehension skills, getting all of those things together. So learning that so they can do and perform on the test. Another thing that we've done with our iStation reports is, with the request of Superintendent Jones, we took every iStation report from our beginning of the year, our middle of the year, and our end of the year, and we can compare that to these test scores. And we've worked on, if they're passing the iStation test where they need to be, then why or why are they not passing the state? And so we have, you can see they're highlighted on students where there was a discrepancy, and we know that if they pass this iStation test at 80% proficient, then they should pass the state test. It was at 94% accurate, that if they pass the iStation February or March ISIT test, they test every month, then they should pass that. And notice I said 80%. Oklahoma and New Jersey, this is a nationwide study that iStation did, that we've done a study with them. And Oklahoma and New Jersey are the only two states that students in iStation have to score an 80%. I said, well, what do other states do? They didn't throw any other states under the bus, but they said your surrounding states, people that you like to compete with, have to score a 60% on iStation to pass. So our state standards are extremely high, but that's okay. We'll get there, we'll do better. I definitely think we have a plan in place to improve scores. Also, with these studies, the principals, they have presented these to every one of their grade levels to know. So if we had a student that passed iStation, but didn't pass, so now let's look at test day performance. Why are they not passing on that? What do we need to do to help them pass the test on that day? Because it's a one-time shot, we only have one time with that. So some of them get nervous, so we gotta try to eliminate those. Any distractions we can, someone throws up, the state doesn't care if a kid pulls the fire alarm in the middle of the test, but we're going to learn to do those things, and nobody's gonna work harder than me, the principals, and the teachers to get these test scores up to where we think they need to be. So also, we're one of 3 districts that participated in the iStation things. Only 3 would give their test results to go, and we were definitely better than those. So, and here is this linking the Oklahoma OSTP ELA assessment to iStation reading formative assessment. So Jessica Morrison and I sat with iStation, and a lady from, I don't know where she was from, she had a big accent, I thought she was from Russia, but she was very smart, and so she told us a lot of information. I had a lot to learn, but iStation, I think, is going to help us get there and assess our students. Our principals all set at the end of the year last year, an end of the year iStation report. And I know Marissa's only one here, but she would agree with me that that report and that workshop half a day was a changer to know that this is what I think we're gonna get bang for our buck in iStation and with the results there, and hopefully we'll see that on the state test. All we can do is keep working harder and harder and harder. And another thing that we're doing in every building is our state standards, going back to the old days that you print them out and have to maybe check them off to make sure we're covering all the state standards, because sometimes it's like number sense in math. Did we cover that? Or didn't we? What all do we have to do? And so we're just making sure that we're covering all of the standards that are available to us and that they're supposed to learn and could be the possibility on the test. There's a lot of them, and they may only have 1, 2, 3, or 4 questions on the test, but we have to make sure our students know all these things. I always tell the story back when I was a 3rd grade teacher, long time ago. I may or may not have looked at the test, but they gave the broken ruler, and there was only 1 question on there about measuring, but they wanted them to start from 5 and go to 9 for the answer instead of going from 0 to 9. So you just have to adapt. You learn things. We learn every year as we go. I'm new to this position, so still trying to get all of this stuff in a row, but we're definitely trying hard to improve the test scores. We're definitely, Ms. Jones is very supportive of anything that the principals want or I want to try to do it. We have people that there's no one working harder. We've got pages of research and things that we're trying to do. We're trying to find the best that will come to our district and help our teachers. And I truly believe in Laura Searcy and Pam Henley that will help us. I believe in our people from iStation, and I definitely believe in our principals, our coaches, and our teachers. And I hope when we stand here next year, we have higher scores than we do this year. So, does anyone have any questions?
Carr,
Yes,
does the state average usually run about 34 to 37%?
usually in the
I mean,
math.
has it ever been in like the 80s?
No, because
Okay.
our cut scores are so high. I mean, there's gonna be,
Wow.
I mean, like 80%, you have to score 80% to meet. So our kids aren't missing much to say
Right,
they fail, and they'll never tell you how many they missed out of 22 questions.
right.
You know, and we have some very smart kids. We've had kids that's got every question correct, or we've had some that missed two, but they're not proficient. You know, so it's hard.
See,
Yeah.
that's wrong.
80%, that was eye-opening to me. I mean, when I left that, I went straight to Miss Jones's office and I was like, we're just set up to failure. And I love to give this report, but I hate to give this report because it's nothing but, I mean, I'm gonna spend 3 weeks and the principals are gonna spend 3 weeks building these people back up that we've done nothing but praise and know the good things that they're doing. And they've seen these test scores, I mean, this isn't new, and they know they're working hard. We
Oh,
tell
yeah.
them every day, and with the support of all of you guys, and when you're there in the buildings and all the admin team, we'll get there. We're working, we are teaching kids, we are teaching them to read, we're teaching them to solve math problems, and they are going to be productive citizens. And that is truly our number one goal.
So have you set goals, like we've set goals for everything else,
Yes.
have they set goals for like, we wanna raise this score?
Oh yeah, they wanna do they wanna get to the 80s, but we gotta do, so each one, if we could just raise them 2 to 3%. I mean, if we could just do that we can see some growth, I think we would all be, I would be happy. They're not gonna be happy until we beat everyone, and we compared to other districts, and we're them, and we would never, I'm not gonna say any names, and there's some that's better than us and some that we're better than, and so we're looking at those, we're asking, we have friends all over the state of Oklahoma, all of our principals do, with all of our programs that we do, with Marissa working with Dr. Sorrells, Amanda working with Ron Clark, Rhonda working with Great Expectation. They're making connections with principals, and that's how it's gonna be done, is to find just the one thing that we can find to raise scores. And then Misty does a great job at the pre-K because it starts there. I mean, they start there and they work and they do everything to try to make the kids love school. And that's what she's doing with implementing lots of play, lots of practice there, and just trying to get our kids to love school, want to come to school, because Deanna's right when she mentioned that about attendance, is they have to be here. And chronic absenteeism is hurting, and it's gonna take us a while to get the kids that going to school every day like we did. We didn't wanna stay home. We had to work or something, but it's nothing for kids to stay home now. So they have to love school, and setting goals and finding people that can help us, and then letting our teachers, because we have some of the best and the brightest that can help them, and getting them to know that they can, we have, one thing I didn't mention is the principals worked hard to create a schedule to have district grade level meetings or district department head meetings so they can talk, because, you think Greenwood to Cherokee, they don't have a lot of time to talk. So these people have created times out of their schedule that they find time to cover classes so their teachers can talk. And that's what our teachers want on every survey or anything they give, they want time to talk. So I'm hoping with the new school calendar sometime and more professional development that we will get that time that the teachers can really talk and have that time. So,
Carr, do we have a number of kids that can't read, that just can't read?
yep, we do have that number. I couldn't give it to you off the top, but the teachers know, principals know, and we work. I used to pick a little boy up every day and take him to school. I hadn't got emotional yet tonight, so it's not to come. But I took him and didn't know a thing when brought him to first grade at Cherokee Elementary. And he read a book today in the Taco Bell parking lot before we got here. And he wouldn't stop or get out of the car until he finished that book. So to me, we're at success. So I will sit down now.
Why do you try to do that?
I know, I am so freaking good.
I got one on this night, I was getting ready, I'm gonna have to brag on Marissa. So this is like a little thing, but it was a perfect example of like what they do every day. So we found a pair of glasses in our yard, like little kids' glasses, and I put a picture on Facebook. I thought they were from a trick-or-treater, who's like 2 days after Halloween. And within 10 minutes, Marissa called me, Ms. Sheets texted me, Ms. Moore, the librarian, commented on Facebook. They all knew who this pair of glasses belonged to. And it's a new student. He's only been there. He's our neighbor, so I'm like, oh yeah, we know, we'll take him down there. But this kid had been there a couple of weeks, and they knew who a pair of glasses out of 300 plus students belonged to, because they know each kid, they know what they wear on their face every day, on top of knowing their names and what's going on at their house. And it was just, like, I almost took it down because we found the glasses so fast, but I was like, it was so cool because just immediately, they're like, oh, they belong to this kid, and he'd been wearing, one of them said he's wearing his old backup, messed up pair because he knew he lost them, didn't know where they were, and they were sitting in our yard, and we got them back within 30 minutes. The kids took them down there, and it was just like a perfect example of everything else. And this is after school, this is 4:30, 5 o'clock in the afternoon, and they saw my post, and they're like, oh yeah, we know who they belong to. So,
That's awesome.
we know what y'all are doing.
Hi. I've got a lot to follow now, but I have a car and I'm Miss Nino telling these great stories. Well, if we'll start out, we'll look at our 6th grade scores, 7th grade and our 8th grade scores, and then we'll talk about some of the improvement strategies. And it shows our 6th grade. First of all, I want to say at the secondary level, we are above the state in every category, from all the middle school to all the high school. Are we happy with where we're at completely? No. We always want to do better. We always want to keep growing, and we always want to keep moving forward. And when we look at our 6th grade, they were a little bit down from last year, where this year they're 32% in ELA, and last year they were 35, 28 in math this year, where they were 38. But I did look back at when they were in 5th, and they were almost identical. I mean, it pretty much, they didn't change that much. They were steady, they didn't drop too much. In 7th grade, we did on the ELA, it went from a 27 to a 35, just in, we know they're different students, but a little bit down in the math. But again, on both of those areas, we are above the state. And when I did go back and compare them to 6th grade, they stayed about the same. They're just kind of steady, staying about the same. Not big phenomenal growth and not phenomenal drops, but they're staying right there. And then in 8th grade, if we go to our 8th grade scores, our ELA, it shows that it was 23%, it had been 30. And then it shows scores going up in math and in science. Our science actually went up tremendously, and we had fairly decent, even last year in the 46th percentile. That, I really believe they've got a very strong science department that is really coordinated through this new series. And I wish I could remember the name of it. Lab aids. So, and the lab aids, and there's a lot of, consumables you do have to purchase each year, but we try to help them and give them a science budget so they can do that. And I think it really prepares them for going to high school, and it's a lot of hands-on, it's a lot of critical thinking, and that whole team has really worked well together, sharing ideas and different things. If I look at the strategies, Robert, if you'll go to middle school improvement strategies, some of the things that they're doing, they have ZAP, which they offer that on late start Friday mornings. Zeros aren't permitted. They don't assign kids there, but I think it's volunteer, and they tell parents, if your child is failing, whatever, we have somebody here for you. And the teachers and NHS students, they help to tutor those. The counseling staff is working on that failing list, calling parents, making them aware, that they're on that ineligible list. Teachers utilizing their focus time to assist students with work. Resource room for IEP students to receive additional. There's Boys and Girls Club tutoring. We have our new series for reading that we're aligning with the Oklahoma academic standards. There's several different teacher trainings that we've been attending. First of all, this is what Abby has, when they'll have a meeting together, her staff is sharing as a PD for each other, actually coming in and showing a high, engaging, and challenging activity that they do, and piggyback off and let each other share and say, oh, I could change that in math, or I could do this in English, or whatever. So that is something really positive. The benchmarks that they're getting and being able to analyze those. We do have a pull-out reading, and so they get one of their electives taken away, and they get support from, I always call her Kathy Carey, but Kathy McClure, now she's Kathy McClure. And they'll get that. We have a math enrichment that they can also go and apply their math skills. There's peer observations. What I like Abby's been doing with all of her alternatively certified teachers is requiring those teachers to go in so many visits and allowing to cover for their class so they can get into some really good instructional leaders. She'll team them up. Go in and see Leslie Presley. Even though you're not a science teacher this year, you need to see how she utilizes her time, teaches bell to bell. They've really been focusing on teaching bell to bell at the middle school, trying to do that. And second semester, she's going to be seeking some help from her elective teachers. She's gonna ask, hey, can you help us with some test prep things? Can you put up graphs? Can you have them read it as a bell ringer? So they're seeing it all over, and not just, for 2 weeks, but all for this next semester, and make them feel like they're a part of helping students to be successful and be able to show some examples of what they test in. Because if you would look at some of those tests, they're gonna be challenging. I mean, the bench tests that they're pulling, the sample questions, it takes you a minute to look at them and say, now what are they asking? So they're gonna try to really do some of that stuff. Robert, if you'll go back to where it says, it's got 8th grade, but it goes down below and it has 11th grade testing. So if we look at our 11th grade testing in science, that went from a 22% up to 26%. And I know they've been really meeting in their PLC times and really trying to get into that this year. And they have so many standards. They're trying to get sample questions and things from the state where they can get a blueprint and say, we're not gonna be able to teach we're gonna teach them all, but we may not be able to cover, we need to cover these main essential ones. And they feel like they've had some training on identifying those essential standards. The US history stayed about the same, 54 to 59 to 49%, but we are above the state there also. And then if you wanna look at our next one, it shows our ACT. And we had talked about at least that being the composite to be at 18.3, it was at 18.4. And if you look, the year before is at 17.8, and it went up 17.4, and math went up to 17.8, 18.1 to 18.5, 17.1 to 17.4, 18.2 to the 19.3 in reading, and then a state average, and we are above the state average. Full complete point, and just getting those up a point is very, very difficult. Some of the things that the high school is doing, there's several different things. We have Laura Searcy that always has a writing workshop, and that we put new middle school and new high school teachers that are new in the English department. They'll have 4 times that they go meet with her. So both principals have been gracious and just, yes, we're gonna send them, we're gonna get them that, and I'm thankful for that because Laura's really good. We also have, because of Gear Up, and we're really hoping they're rewriting our grant, because we're about finished with that Gear Up grant. They're gonna put us back in it because we love the training that we're getting. The K-20 training is it's top notch, but super expensive. And so we're able to use Gear Up funds to send, and they're sending 5 new teachers, 5 new to the career teacher, I don't know what this says, 5 new to the career teachers. I think this says 9.
I think
New to the
New
career.
to the career.
New to the
New
career,
teachers.
thank you, Natalie, okay. I'm tired, guys, I'm sorry.
I think only one of those is traditionally offers.
And we're doing it.
The other
Everyone
4
else
are
is
alternatively
And we're
certified.
doing 4 of those things.
And you have 4, or
That are
you're
gonna-
all 4 alternatively certified? So a lot of already in core subjects, alternatively certified teachers, but we're giving them some K-20 support. Then all departments are giving those common benchmarks and recording their data, working in their PLC times, discussing every late start Friday, how they can have students grow, where the successes are. Our freshmen are doing just semesters, they'll do freshman English, and then they will we talked with Read 180, and they have the modification to their program that you can do it by the semester. And we're having kids in freshmen, if they were low, and we did their testing right before they came, so we didn't have to pull out and change their schedule when we got there. So they're having their English 1, and then they're having this other support. If they need to stay in the rest of the year, they will. but we're thinking that double support is gonna be very, very helpful. We're also doing that with, Ms. Wade is doing that with 10th grade
And 11.
and 11th grade, that they look and they're taking that elective for a semester, they're putting them in there. She has some great remediation skills through the new Savez curriculum and different things that she has. So they're getting their English 2 and their English 3, but they're getting this added for at least a semester to kind of support those students. With math, it's already leveled and they do testing, so you may not go to Algebra 1, you may go to contextual algebra. They already do a really good job of trying to get them placed in the right level of where they need to be. So some other things, the Guiding Coalition is meeting 2 times per month to ensure that everyone's getting data, they're looking at it, looking at assessments. Math and English departments are working on the new curriculum with Savez, that we have them at all times coming. We're on speed dial with them, whatever they need assistance with. And a new program takes a while. I mean, you have to, really go through it. Like, I know middle school, when they're gonna be, did they have to create a unit for you? So this last PV session, Abby said, okay, you're gonna get with your team and you're gonna take that for 3 hours and you're gonna work on something. So allowing them time to work. That's probably the biggest thing, is having time to really be able to dive into something. And it's very difficult not to find substitutes. It's very difficult if you have a lot absent in one day. And we used to, years back, like when I was middle school principal, I could say, okay, I want 6 subs, I could get them, I could do this for this time, let people off half a day. It's not conducive anymore, it's just so difficult to cover classes. English and math departments continue to create remediation opportunities for anyone that is lacking. Before the ACT, a couple of weeks, 3 weeks or so, they're gonna do some intensive review with juniors and seniors, and that will be before the spring ACT. So they're using Elastic, they're getting to see the value of that. Like I said, every department at the high school is at a different level from where they are. Most of those departments have 10 to 11 teachers in that time. So they do utilize Late Start Friday, because none of them will have the same planning time. So if you're in the English department, these 2 may, but the rest of them don't. So they don't have that time built in that. So when they have that full 50 minutes that they can be together on Fridays, they really have been utilizing that. And they have assignments, and the department chairs, curriculum coordinators are working, and I think they're utilizing that. All we do is try to get better, and I think we just try to keep our focus on academics. And I think coming out of the pandemic, I think we're holding. You can see the scores are like this, but I think our students are coming a long ways. Our teachers are doing a great job. And our traditional teachers are doing a tremendous job mentoring all the alternatively certified teachers we have. It is huge. And I know they are tired, but they are troopers, and they are really helping both schools are working. We have some really good alternatively certified educators. And that's what I see in the trend, because I see plenty of elementary and I see plenty of early childhood teachers when I go to job fairs, but I do not see that for our specialty in secondary. Where's my English teacher? Where's my math teacher? But a lot of our alternatively certified will be an English major. They just haven't gone through any of the methods classes, classroom discipline, those are the things, but they know the content. So that is one good thing when you can get a science major or a math major that knows the content, if we can help train them. And we've always said, you can't train the heart, but you can train the brain. I mean, if we find those that love kids and really have had something with kids, we've got the staff that's gonna help them get there. We do. We have the principals that are gonna help them get there. They go above and beyond, so. Anything else that anybody needs to know? Thank you so much.
I wrote like 12 little notes, but I know, Brad, you gotta just be dying right now. He's
No, I'm
nice
good.
tonight. But just a couple things to follow what they said. Kids aren't a number. They aren't a test score. That's not what makes up a child. That might be what we are evaluated on as a district, but they're not a test score. He pointed out, it is a one-day snapshot. That's always hard, on any given day to judge a small child or even a large child, or an adult on any given day snapshot. So looking at the other data that they're presenting, I think gives us a lot better idea of the success and the growth in a student, and that's what it's about. It's about growth from year to year, from child to child. We can't help where they come. We can only help where we take them once they are here. And I am a better as possible, good is not enough, never in the land of done kind of girl. I detest that we have to say our scores are low. But I also know what everybody does every day. And one thing, a trend that I notice on this is that if you look at our high school scores, they're above the state average in almost every area. That maybe that means at our elementary schools, we're focusing on what we need to be focusing on knowing whose glasses those belong to and who didn't eat yesterday morning and who got hurt before they came to school that day. They learn that, they help them self-regulate and learn those things so they can go on to be more successful and more successful and more successful as time goes on. He mentioned, I think it was Carr, about PD days. That's gonna be a change you're going to see in the calendars that we will be presenting to you in December. We are going to change things up a little bit and add a few more days. We have 44 to 46 alternative or emergency certified teachers. We also, when you look at these scores, it's not the same teacher teaching every year. We have a very large revolving door of staff. We have staff that might be phenomenal in biology, but has never had a methods class on how to teach. And just because you have it here doesn't mean you can get it there. They'll get it, but it's just a process.
The concern I had was one of the things that kept coming up was these kids' scores are staying consistent. They're going from 5th grade to 6th grade to 7th grade. Well, we're looking at 3rd graders at a 17. That was not good news for me. So, I mean, like, we've got to figure out a way that they don't stay where they are consistently, or we're gonna lose those babies.
And I think that's what he was pointing out, and that's what we will look for. This new reading curriculum, it's a big deal to implement a brand new curriculum that we are asking people to follow with absolute fidelity. Because how do we know if it's working if we're not actually doing exactly what we need to be doing with it? So that's a paradigm shift for us at Tahlequah on how we have been handling reading and how we have been handling curriculum. I mean, it's been, 20 years maybe, Marissa, since we had purchased an evidence-based, scientifically researched curriculum.
2 years ago.
And at no particular fault to any person. We were doing the best we knew at that time, but now we know we need to follow a curriculum that is going to help us change instructional practices, help us let children have the ability to learn the very best level that they can. And that's gonna happen. It's just gonna take a little bit of time. And I am one of the least patient people that God ever created, and it's hard for me to swallow. I want to see next year that these scores have gone up 10%. That's not realistic. But what we can do is come in and present every year, this is where we were, this is where we're going to be, this is what we're doing to change that. And we can promise you all and our community that at the end of the year, we will again examine everything we have done. And if it did not get the result that we wanted, then we will try something different. That's really all we can do on any given day, because I'm very proud of what you guys do and how hard you work. I've been in your seat and I know, I've been in other places. I had a district reach out that is very similar to us in size that was doing a test presentation at their board meeting this month. And they shared their data with us. And they'd gotten data from 4 or 5 school districts that were in the same class size as us. And our scores were better. you know? And I'm not gonna sit here and tell you that, oh, if we made 17%, that's fantastic, that's not. I mean, I know that that's not what they want, they're not happy with that. They're not sleeping and thinking about that, how they can change that. So we'll get there, but we're gonna have to, I'm gonna have to ask you guys to be, and our public to be patient as we make those changes, a little at a time.
Just thinking at the, and I teach in the elementary schools, so I really don't know how it works. But I know we have a new reading program, and it's hard to institute anything and really get everyone on board. But are we really reinforcing reading comprehension and writing in social studies classes, in the science classes, in the other curriculum that goes within the third grade, whatever the third grade curriculum is? Is there a true crossover of skills? Because if skills are just placed in each discipline and kept separate, you know, I think even students don't realize that you're supposed to use this skill in this subject area and this subject area, or even teachers understanding certain comprehension that they can teach through writing and assessing, you know, the students' understanding of what they're reading in these other disciplines.
That is one thing that I want to call her Dr. Searcy, but Dr. Searcy, Miss Searcy, that she wants to do is to bring in the other, you would say, the disciplines to learn those basic writing skills and how to do those things in those other things. So that being her next step after she feels that she's completed everything she can do with our ELA teachers, then take it to the next, our science and our social studies teachers.
But
And that's like-
third, fourth, and fifth grade, that's the same teacher, and they do that, because I see third grade homework, so you have a math problem that is written out, and they have to write a number for an answer, but they also have to write a sentence, and if it doesn't have capital on the first letter, you know, even though it's a math problem, it's got a red mark, but this is supposed to be a capital T, and so that is at the elementary level, that's the same teacher doing each one of those things, and I mean, I know just from seeing mine on their homework that I recognize that, right, that this is, or they're doing some lesson on, you know, they're some civics issues, civil rights leaders or that type of thing, and it's reading, but, you know, they're also having to think about the civics concept of whatever the issue was, but it's still, you know, anytime there's print written, if it's wrong, there's marks on there, that you didn't capital, you didn't put a period here, you didn't start this as a sentence, so I do think that at this level, like, because they're not different disciplines, but those teachers know that anytime they write a response, if they can say that this, you need it start with capital, it needs to be a complete sentence, it has to, you know, have thought, it has to have a period, so I think they probably do that, and those kids don't know that, oh, I'm also working on reading when I'm doing this math problem, but I think they are.
So are we teaching those critical thinking skills that true comprehension will reflect? You know, that it's got to not so much go laterally with certain skills, but you go, you know, take them more deeply, turn them over and over and over until and I don't know, you know, I'm just asking, you know, maybe this is something that we need to consider or to look at, because I know everyone is working extremely hard, and I know the cut scores are so high, you do this too, and you're, you know, almost not in the proficient range. But there's some little piece that we're missing.
Agreed.
And I know everyone's looking for that, but yes, I know the teachers are working very, very hard and very diligent and want their kids to succeed. But it's just figuring out, we're working hard, but figuring out what is not working. That we're putting those pieces together.
I think that's what he's doing, you know, like the whole reflection piece that you're asking for is you have to go through something, see what happens, see if you got the result you were looking for, and if you're not, go back and figure out why, and then figure out what you can change. And that is what they're doing, they're spending a lot of time on that, just, you know, really digesting what it is and dissecting what has gone on to look for improvement.
I'm curious too, at like maybe starting second, third grade, cause I've told my kids like, no one doesn't like reading, they just don't, they haven't found something they like to read yet, right? And so I know like so much of what they do is like they have to read this thing for school that maybe isn't something that's interesting to them. And they do go to the library and they, you know, librarian helps them try to find things that are, but I'm curious if there's anything there that outside of curriculum, and, you know, is there ways, you know, as an example, my son loves graphic novels and there's not a whole lot of them, in the school library, right? And he doesn't wanna read a chapter book, he wants to read a graphic novel. Well, you can read one in a day because they don't have a lot of words in them. And if there's only 4 of them available and you've got 40 kids that all they wanna do is read the cool graphic novels and they're not there. So I'm curious if there are other kind of outside of the box things that we can look at or work on to kind of expand beyond that, what they're reading, cause no kid wants to read what they have to read, right? They just don't, even in first grade, mine's trying to read books that are too big for her because she doesn't wanna read what her homework is, but she can't read those yet, and so I'm curious, I know there's, I saw there's a program that Tulsa's doing, it's actually partnered with some churches, that's lunch buddies, and it's like a mentor / reading program, but it's community volunteers. We just had our big chamber and they honored us, and so maybe some outside of the box thinking for ways that you guys are telling us everything that you're doing, so is there something that we as the board or that we as parents or that we as community can do? Because it looked, I mean, at that elementary, those reading scores are the ones that need the most help, so let's maybe think about, you know, we're here, and we know we have the support of this community, so if there are, and again, if it's we need different books at school or we need people to come volunteer, I think that we could probably rally and
We're bringing some of those smart high school kids and all the kids, they're coming over next week
yeah.
to meet with the kids and just talk to the kids, so we're open to any and everything. So
I think we're telling, if you guys have something, let us know, and if we can get the word out and.
I've scribbled everything under the sun over here, so we got a list of things,
We're taking notes.
yes.
Problems that money don't solve, cause we don't have any of that, right? So.
It's all right.
Alright, anybody else, questions, comments? We have, does anyone need a break? I think it's gonna go quickly now, but we still do have a whole agenda.
We have.
I know Brad's
You can go
next.
take a
but-
break if you want. Quick, right?
Everybody good?
You can take a break if you want.
Okay,
No.
let's take
Go quick.
What time is it?
It's 7:40.
7:40.
I won't.
Brian, was gonna say something.
I think they're going. Is anybody there to take them out?
Brad's telling us how much money he's saving.
Yes. So I'm, with, I didn't even think about it, but you know, as I've been going along, faces changed down here, the board's changed quite a bit. I kinda wanna give an overview of kind of what we've been doing over the last 8 years. I'm gonna have it very condensed, of course.
We go real fast when we talk about 8 years.
But it'll just give you some highlights of kind of what we've been doing and what we've accomplished. Part of it is the staffing that we've got. We're gonna talk about a little bit of energy savings and accomplishments, and then we'll just have some questions, but going on to the next one. So this is our maintenance staff, and we have 8 people that take care of 706,000 square feet. What comes up to around 88,000 square feet per person. We have 4 grounds guys that take care of 100 acres, 25 acres per person. It's a lot to take care of every day. And then Mr. John Baker right there in the middle, he delivers about 500 packages a day or a month. So that kind of puts it in perspective of what we're doing. We're always really busy. Miss Jana, of course, right up there at the top, she's the brains of the operation. I just get to talk about it. But she does a great job. Go ahead, next. And on our custodial staff, we have 36 custodians that are helping us take care of stuff at night. Comes up to roughly around 22,000 square feet per person that they gotta clean. A lot of it on the right-hand side is all daytime staff that just kind of try to help maintain and notify the night crew if there's any issues. And we've done a really good job with that. We can always improve. We're not perfect, but we'll get there. We'll go ahead to the next one. So now we're getting into the savings of what we've got. So we've implemented some preventative maintenance programs, and we can see that we've been able to save by cleaning condensers, by changing the filter quicker or regularly. October, you can see a little spike. Well, that's because October was hotter than it was last year. So, but it was about $4,000 more than it was the previous year. But it could have been a lot worse. I don't know what it would have been if we hadn't done the other measures that we had done. Because September was definitely hot, August was really hot, but we were saving money. So go ahead. Water, we've been doing good, but of course, again, that spike in October, well, you gotta water the playing fields. That's the biggest contributor to that, because we didn't have a lot of rain, it was really dry. So that kinda helps that one. Gas savings, they're pretty much the same, pretty consistent, it's pretty easy on that one. Go ahead to the next one. Sewer is correlated with the water, so you can see that spike in the sewer correlates with the water usage. Go ahead. But overall, right now, we're $32,000 plus from what we were last year. Now, we're getting ready to implement a lighting project. That number's gonna go up, and I'm excited about that. Because as one of our goals that we wanted to do is, of course, reduce energy. And try to get LEDs everywhere we can, which we did these right here. But we can only do so much, as I showed you before, we only have a small amount of people. But you guys have been gracious enough to give us the money to let us say, do what you need to do. And that's been great. We love the sport. Go ahead. So we have completed over 2,000 work orders since July 1, which is pretty good for those 8 guys. We have a licensed HVAC technician, licensed welder, licensed boiler inspector, which saves the district money by inspecting our own boilers ourselves. We have a licensed electrician. We have changed out 74 complete HVAC units and saved the district about $146,000 in labor. And that was from the middle school, changing out all the units on top of the roof. We had a crane. It was a hard day, but it was a long day, but we changed out all those units and got them set up. So that was kind of a neat, fun little project. We're complete fire inspections, extinguisher inspections on monthly and yearly. So we make sure that buses are outfitted with them. Every site's fitted with them. We have extras sitting down at maintenance. And something that we also do is our monthly elevator inspections. We always have Mr. Kyle, he's our jack of all trades. I set him up to inspect the elevator. He has to go in there, make sure that he turns the key and it goes to the fire recall with the proper floor like it's supposed to. But some of the remodels that we've done, we've remodeled the high school engineering room. So like Ms. Eastep that was talking earlier, that was her classroom at the time. So that kind of helped with it, made me feel good that her program's going good. So we did that. We've done the turf room locker room, remodeled down here at the BOE, the BOE annex, the outreach center, the Greenwood Resource Center, Heritage Computer Labs. We tore out some stuff there to make them into a more functional classroom. TMS, we changed out the VCT tile to make it all uniform across the building. Cherokee Windows was one of the first jobs that we've done. We changed out all those to change the appearance of the building, which looked great. Added a classroom at the high school. We're getting ready to try to do a few more little things up there. And going with those remodels and roofs was a big thing when we got here. We had people just pushing carts in the areas and saying, well, that's where it leaks. We're just used to it. So, high school, 200 building, TMS, PAC, TMAX, Sequoia, all those have been fixed. And, that's a big accomplishment. It's been a hard go, but we've gotten there. Painting, we've got middle school restrooms. We painted the outside of Cherokee to change the color to match the new color scheme of the cafeteria whenever we did that. Got rid of that old blue kind of color, made it look a little bit updated. The Greenwood Library and gym exterior, the middle school exterior had to be repainted. We did the 200 hall and classrooms at the high school. We did the 300 hall and classrooms at the high school just recently over the summer, and it looks great. It looks really good. Here, put the mail box. I probably shut off the, I didn't probably.
Who shut it
Here,
off?
I'm saving money.
He's saving us money.
It's fine.
It's not electricity, at least we have that.
But, some of the electrical upgrades that we did, 25% of our district we changed over ourselves. So 75% of the district was gonna be changed over by the company. It took us a little while to do the 25%, but we did pretty good, I think, overall. We did all the electrical on the baseball and softball locker room, we built those, the football storage, down here at the BOE annex. We found, main breaker over at Greenwood that was going bad, we changed it out ourselves before it could be a catastrophe. And upgrading electrical circuits at the Greenwood Resource Center whenever we did that. We found some potential fire hazards at the time. We fixed all of that stuff. We've had plumbing issues at Heritage. One of the biggest things we had out there is that the hand washing stations, I think Lacey knows about this, they would clog up and you couldn't use them half the time, so we figured out a solution for that, which was putting a descaler on it. And that descaler kind of broke up all those minerals, so they passed through all the parts. So now we don't have an issue with it. We haven't had an issue for a while. So we've implemented that at Heritage, Cherokee, and Green to kind of help clean our water a little bit. We changed the main water line at Greenwood from the library to the commons area, installed tankless water heaters ourselves at the middle school in Sequoia with our child nutrition department to try to, they were outside for whatever reason, I have no idea why. But they were freezing, busting, not working properly, so we figured out our own way to do it. And it's been working great ever since. We made leaks on the repairs from the frozen pipes that we had at high school Heritage, Greenwood, and I think that was it. But we spent about 397 man hours to repair leaks that we had from December last year, which in turn helped us save a little bit more money on repairs. Not as big of a hit on the insurance. We still had to have an insurance claim, but it could have been a lot worse. Handrails, going back to the licensed welder. We've installed over 1,000 feet of handrail throughout the district. Just having that person here has been very beneficial. Concrete, we've poured the softball batting cage that's out there behind the ball fields. Whenever Coach Ray wanted to install that, we did the bike racks, we did the sidewalk at Greenwood to connect the cafeteria, because they used to walk through the grass. And we connected at Heritage, a sidewalk, connected to the main building. Plus we've done a lot of other little repairs too, but we also take care of our energy management upgrades that we've done. We've gone paperless on all of our work orders, so you guys got a tablet, so I don't like paper, so, Jana hates me for it, but she always makes a paper copy and puts it in a file somewhere, so that way we don't forget. But we do yearly fire alarm inspections, fire sprinkler inspections, we do yearly boiler inspections, and then one of the biggest things I feel really proud about is that we've reduced outsourcing. We did a lot of outsourcing when we first got here. We spent a bunch of money, and I remember Lisa at the time, she just said, here's a dollar amount, do what you need to do. That's when we started doing those things at charity. And that felt good to do. So, and that's just kind of a small little taste of what we've done. But there's a lot more. I can talk to you for hours about it, but I won't do it. But we appreciate our board support, you guys have always been the best to us, and I know our guys have loved seeing you guys support us and just take care of us, so, any questions you guys have?
Thank you.
Okay.
Thanks,
Taking care of us.
Good job.
Very lucky to have Brad, and I have a hard time turning my brain off, and the man thinks more than I do. So, he and I are on the same wavelength a lot, very proud of what he brings to our district and, bond and the projects that we're doing, the lighting project that we're going to be doing. I could not do what I do without him, so thank you
You're welcome.
so far, pretty much.
All right, item H, superintendent's report. All right, I'm gonna talk fast, I'm gonna talk super fast today. I've shortened it a little bit, as I've said. So we have 507 employees, 3,616 students right now, for our enrollment. My random fact for you was, Central, the original high school building that housed high school students for 40 years until the class of 1964 graduated. This building will be 100 years old next year, and we're gonna figure out a way to get some kind
Started
of
that today.
centennial campaign out there, yes, every time I
I
get to
think
see
the
them.
foundation's gonna have to do, we had a little meeting over here,
So,
that I think we can.
but,
We need it done.
yes, so planting seeds every time I get to talk to someone about that, but we're gonna figure out a way to, do something nice with that building. Transfers, we have various open spots, you can find those on our website. Our bond update to the athletic facility, you'll see the exterior masonry is in progress, should be complete next week. They're doing panels inside, painting inside. Retractable batting cages will begin the week of 11/27, so we'll get to that piece of that building where they're putting in inside equipment. Should be dried in by the first week of December and should be open in February. Cherokee Elementary Edition, when you go by that, the steel deck, it looks like a building is being built now, so it's pretty exciting to see that. Some outside masonry on the block that they're doing. Framing and roofing will start the week of 11/20. The renovation, we're still just kind of waiting on that library renovation because of door frames. It was a supply and demand issue, and so they've done everything they can do around waiting on those door frames. Greenwood, poured some concrete, I think today on the slab of the new building, so we will still see steel or masonry walls beginning of a couple weeks on that project. Parking lot is complete and sign installation is being scheduled. Stipend appreciation, you'll be voting on a stipend here in a second. You know, in the spirit of November and thankfulness, I'd like to thank the 507 people that choose to be a Tiger every day. I'm thankful for you guys because you choose to be servants. I said that today, but you are a public servant and a servant to the students and employees of TPS, and your servant's heart are very evident. Tonight you will vote to approve or not to approve a small stipend for our employees to show appreciation for those choosing to be here. Employees who have been employed for a full year will receive a $200 stipend. Half-time people will receive a $100 stipend, and they will get these stipends before they go on Thanksgiving break. We wish it could be more. You know that I probably won't be asking for this in the next years to come. This was done with COVID money. Well, because of, not with COVID money, but because of COVID money. And that is not going to be possible most likely in the next couple years. But I promised the staff in an email and then promised to you, something we are working on is creating a budget that has the carryover that we need so that we can be generous to our employees who need that. It's just gonna take us a little time to get there, but that is absolutely Sabrina and our goal. And to get that in or not, but stipend or no stipend, I just want all of our employees to know that they're appreciated. We appreciate what you do for the students. We appreciate what you do for each other, and you are each needed and loved.
with that, item I, discussion and vote to approve or not approve the following recommendation for the school board stipend, or for the employee stipend. I was gonna sneak it in there. $200 for full-time employees, $100 for half-time employees, and prorated for those who were not employed for the entire year. Do I have a motion to approve?
Move to approve.
I second.
Any discussion? Ms. Walker?
Aye.
Dr. Eversole?
Aye.
Ms. Coffin?
Aye.
Ms. Crawford?
Aye.
And aye. Items J, 1, 2, and 3, vote to approve or not approve surplus. Do I have a motion?
I'll make that motion. I'll second.
Any discussion? Ms. Walker?
Aye.
Dr. Eversole?
Aye.
Ms. Coffin?
Aye.
Ms. Crawford? And aye. Sorry. K, I'm gonna read all of this. Discussion, consideration, and vote to approve a lease purchase agreement with local bank, Culver, Oklahoma for acquisition of LED lighting equipment and efficiency improvements throughout the district, together with a related escrow agreement and partial assignment of contract with Energy Solution Professionals LLC and such other ancillary agreements or documents necessary to or in furtherance of such acquisition. I have a motion.
I'll make the motion.
I have a second.
Second.
And this is the agreement that we talked about. This is the actual financing agreement for the energy conservation project, specifically to replace current fluorescent lighting with LED lighting throughout the district. With that, Ms. Walker?
Aye.
Dr. Eversole?
Aye.
Ms. Coffin?
Aye.
Ms. Crawford?
Aye.
And aye. Item L, 1, 2, 3, and 4, business items, consent docket. Do I have a motion to approve?
I'll make it approve. Second.
Any discussion? Ms. Walker? Dr. Eversole?
Aye.
Ms. Coffin?
Aye.
Ms. Crawford?
Aye.
And aye. Item N, discussion and vote to approve or not approve the schedule of encumbrances. Do I have a motion?
I'll make that.
And I'll second.
Discussion? Ms. Walker? Dr. Eversole?
Aye.
Ms. Kaufman?
Aye.
Ms. Crawford?
Aye.
And aye. I will move to approve item N 1, 2, 3, and 4 with the inclusion of the following: Jordan Roach, OPAT educator, Sarah Fritz, TMS PT para sub, Bailey Lynn, Cherokee PT para sub. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Any discussion? Ms. Walker?
Aye.
Dr. Eversole?
Aye.
Ms. Coffin?
Aye.
Ms. Crawford?
Aye.
And I have no new business. And with that, we are adjourned.
Lacey.